Well, hello there. It's definitely warming up here in Australia. Springtime, all you US and UK side viewers. So sorry. So in this video, I want to talk about Iron Sworn, but there's not so much a review or a puff piece. It's more of an opinion piece. So for those of you who are curious, Iron Sworn is a role-playing game system. One of these roll the dice, Dungeons and Dragons, but not. Some little off-brand type thing. But when I say little, it's actually been around for a couple of years now, and it's made really good headway. People really seem to enjoy this game. And one really popular feature about this game is the solo play. Basically, you can actually play Iron Sworn on your own. It's a popular feature? Yes, it's a great opportunity to just sort of have an imaginative adventure, like, just exploring something. It's basically the same as playing like Skyrim or something, but a little bit more open-ended with your imagination. Now, obviously that sounds very appealing, and yet a lot of people that I see talk about Iron Sworn, people who haven't really given it a go yet, or had a bit of a passing look at it, have noted that, man, it seems to have a very high bar for entry, particularly with regards to the rules. Now, I got into Iron Sworn relatively early, when there was the free online version and only a few little bits and pieces of extended edition stuff. So I find this very confusing when I consider what I had downloaded. Complicated? I didn't quite get that. But then the Starforged rule set came out, a sci-fi version of the game, and I started playing with a friend of mine who was new to it, and I began to understand where this idea has come from. I printed off a character sheet and also printed off the cheap and nasty, very quick rule set for the game. And as the printers printing these out, you began to realize something. The quick and easy to follow rule sets is what? How many pages? 2, 3, 4, 7, 8? About 8 pages long. They are the rules in order to play the game. Not the core rules, but all the different rules that you could use in order to make this world come to life. And the title of these rules, combat moves, adventure moves, session moves, all these different terms aren't necessarily intuitive as to what each of those different sets of rules does. It meant that as I and my friend were playing, even I was found stumbling through some of these different sheets trying to figure out, well, what move would cause what. On top of that, other systems had been added. These little tension clocks, something very much inspired by another excellent game called Blades in the Dark. But again, it's another system on top of what already exists. So all this brought together does indeed give the impression that Iron Sworn is not a very user-friendly game. It's not very intuitive, let's put it that way. But I feel that this is thoroughly a mistake. I actually do feel that Iron Sworn is a very fun and effective game, very flexible, very versatile, able to use it in all sorts of different universes and systems. It can work really well at its core. And as rules get added onto that core, that's where a casual observer might start to think, you know what, this game is too complicated for me, when it really isn't. What's more, the core rules are wonderfully distinct. It makes them stand out compared to other rule sets out there. So what are these core rules? What are the things that I think actually makes Iron Sworn a really enjoyable game, more than just random tables and different types of rule move sets? Well, at its heart is two things. Its dice system and its progression track. These two systems are really easy to learn and really versatile when it comes to using them to create an exciting and compelling game for either yourself or for a group of players. And as both these systems exist in the free rule set, let's talk about them now. So very efficiently, the dice system is a good blend of both the familiar but also something fairly unique. The familiar is a simple stat line. This idea that you roll a dice and depending on what your character's good at, whether they're strong, smart, quick, deceitful, whatever their strengths are, you add that number quality to the dice roll, and that helps sort of adjust the probability of you being successful in some sort of dice roll situation. But the distinct, the slightly unique stuff is the fact that you're always only ever rolling 3 dice, 2 d10s and a classic d6. And when you're rolling these dice, it will give you 3 possible results. a fail roll or a miss, a weak hit, and a strong hit. And these 3 types of rolls, they not only determine whether or not you succeed or fail in a task, really their greatest contribution to this role-playing game is those different results will send your narrative into 3 possible different directions. A miss is a failure. You're down on your knees and now your character needs to dig themselves out of the hole that they found themselves in. A strong hit is a success. You've done what you wanted to do and you can imagine your character doing that in the most badass way possible. And then of course comes the weak hit, the most dramatic and engaging of all the hits. It is an example of, yes, you have succeeded, but a little complication has come along to put a little sting in that tail. But regardless, all 3 scenarios send your characters forward into the narrative in different directions. And as I said, that is a wonderfully versatile dice roll system. As you probably already know if you've seen other videos on this channel, I have played bog standard vanilla Ironsworn, where that dice system allows you to be this sort of like a Viking Dark Age explorer in a forgotten land. But that dice system also allows you to be a space cowboy in some sort of dark space opera. And the dice system allows for you to tweak some house rules, add in a few little random tables of your own, and you can use the dice system to, I don't know, be a noir detective, a Shakespearean swashbuckler. I've got a theory that you could play it as a Regency period conversational drama. It's fundamental because that dice system is really simple, but also versatile. And it's one reason why I think Ironsworn is quite an excellent game. The other reason, the progress track. Now the progress track is wonderful. It's not just wonderful for Ironsworn, I think it's an excellent addition to any sort of role-playing game, because what the progress track gives the player is a finite ending. A lot of role-playing games, they do go on and on and on and technically never end, and Ironsworn can do that. You can let it keep running if you really want to. But as the largely but not completely true saying goes, all great stories do indeed come to an end. And especially when you're playing solo, well, how do you determine when that end comes? You use the progression track. And like the dice roll system, it really is rather simple. More or less, as you go along through your narrative and you achieve some sort of goal that, in your own opinion, contributes to you achieving some sort of end goal, some sort of mission, some sort of vow that you might have sworn, you add that little progression tick to the track. And depending on how tricky the task is how many ticks each of those successful actions would add to the box. If it was something that was really easy and petty, then you're adding 3 little ticks to these boxes. If it's something truly epic, you're only adding a 1/4 tick to a box. But regardless, as you achieve certain goals towards your final purpose, you just simply track along with this box. And then, when you're getting pretty close to the end of that track, you can finally choose. Do I wait, or do I roll to resolve this vow, this quest, this obstacle? You once again simply roll your 2d10s, compare it to the number you got here, and that determines if you were successful on your mission or not. Now, Shaun Tompkins very dramatically dresses up these little progression tracks as vows. It's very thematic. It works really well for both Ironsworn and Starforge. You're swearing an oath to follow a goal. But that flavor and that theme kind of disguises the fact that this is just simply a very useful mechanic for determining if you are overcoming some sort of obstacle or not. Whether that's finding lost treasure, finding a lost loved one, or just simply a fight. Like literally you could use that progression track as health that you're chipping away at some sort of enemy. Again, versatile and works really well in determining whether your narrative has a successful resolution or not, or even just a little in the moment quest or scenario plays out the way that you want it to or not. And as a little side point, that's kind of why I'm a little disappointed that they did indeed add into the tension clock. Ugh. I'm definitely not saying that the tension clocks are bad, but Ironsworn already had its own unique thing with that little progression track. And there was sort of like a threat roll that you could also do in some later editions, which I thought was a nice addition to that track to determine if you're getting hunted or caught or not. So by adding the tension clock I felt a little redundant and whiffed of like being a little enamored by a more successful game. But that is just my opinion. Look, when it comes down to it, clearly I very much enjoy Ironsworn and Starforged by Shawn Tompkins. And so much so that I genuinely think more people should be playing it. But for that to happen, I think we need to like get out there that it's okay just to stick to those core mechanics and then add in your own homebrew, whatever you want. Ironsworn and Starforged in their books even say that's the kind of thing that they look for people to do. But when we as players get hung up with this idea of not following all the rules in the book precisely as they should, you know, oh, will I not get the right experience if I roll a progression move instead of a face danger move? It's all that kind of stuff that makes it more daunting for the player and makes them kind of not want to play. And it's certainly from the outside, someone looking going, hey, do I want to play this or not? When they look at that, they go, oh gee, that's kind of stressful. It seems like homework. Basically, I just think with this wonderful game, this wonderful system, a lot of Ironsworn players just need to lighten up a little bit and be willing just to enjoy this game, whether it's with friends or on their own, and enjoy what makes Ironsworn unique and just so tasty. But of course, that's just my opinion. You probably have your own, you probably disagree with me. I don't know, you can let me know in the chat, just be nice. But yes, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you see me again more in the future. Bye.